Good luck. Praying for the best. Curse of Ra. Oh, it's Selena. Oh! Got my one.
Sereniel です。
I can do this, right? It's a limited unit. Let's see. You got 140. Wicked. Rage. Bro, where's my Sereniel, huh? Sereniel. Yes. Easy. I'm safe, baby. And then happy holidays, everyone. Today we will look at the latest combatant, super creative dished out Sereniel. As you can see, this is her level 10 friendship. Very explicit. Very good to look at. And let's get into it. So, Sereniel is the first true limited character that we've been introduced. You can tell it's limited by looking at here over the seasonal. It has to be, it's very explicit that it says it's a seasonal character, which means it's limited. It won't be added to the standard pool. And if you do have the currency and you like her design, try to pull for her. In conjunction to this, her partner, Peko, is included as well as being a limited seasonal character or partner. So Sereniel is an instinct hunter. So hunters are characters such as Renoa and the likes. And her main shtick is that she focuses on doing enough damage and to force enemies to be broken through or break through. So her main thing is doing ravage damage towards enemies. So let's visit some of her cards. Her first two cards, her basic cards, before doing the potential, the major potential right here, is that it's just a simple 100% damage. And once you unlock the potential for it, it allows you to 50% chance to unlock, to create rather, one homing laser L, as well as increasing the damage through, of course, doing the potential. Her second card, Magnetic Field, typical shield card over here. And this is one of her unique cards, Homing Laser. Her main shtick, other than doing Ravage, is to create multiple copies of Homing Laser. And you could see in the later kits that depending on how you pick your epiphanies, you can do multi-hits, you can spam the Homing Lasers instead, and player like Renoa and all of the likes. So at first glance, 114 damage, 0 cost. Since and then it has like two other important lines. The second one is Afterglow. This is her own mechanic wherein it gives additional tenacity damage, additive damage as well for enemies in a ravaged state, and it has weakness attack. So let's just look through at the epiphanies. One is increased damage. On Ravage, move to hand, so you can cycle this. And when you break through the enemy, it adds one more hit. This could be worthwhile to consider. I'm not sure what are the other combos you can do for this. This is interesting. Something to consider. Second one is another thing to take note that it removes Afterglow, which is the bonus damage dealt as well as tenacity damage. So if you don't value that kind of effects, consider it. It's not my pick of the litter. So for the second one, grants 3 Afterglow. On Ravage, move to hand, similar to the first one, except you have the Afterglow and you don't have the extra hit. Third one is instead of doing 0 cost, you do 1 cost. Typical bonus damage, plus 51% I believe. Retain the 2 Afterglow from the initial stance. And then you create homing laser else in this card pile. So if you try to build towards spamming homing lasers and move towards something more similar to Renova's route, I think this is a really important FF to pick up. Number 4, single Afterglow. It doesn't have the bonus damage, but on Ravage or at the start of the turn, move to hand. Alright. So you can treat it like a, I guess similar to Anchor Pointer. Kind of. So if you have multiples of this, what do you think about the use case for this? It is interesting to say. And then number 5, it retains a 2 Afterglow standard, 171 damage, or I believe it's a 150 damage. And move all homing laser elves in graveyard to hand. So at first glance, the key pickups here would be 3 and 5, maybe 1. Okay, let's look at the next card. Plasma Missile. Here I already have it that foiled out. So 137, 125 I believe is the basic card damage. 0.5 tenacity damage if not ravaged. You activate it once more, so it becomes 1 tenacity damage. Very interesting. I guess this is like forcing more tenacity damage towards the enemy. Right. First card is increased damage from base. So it's just the typical upgrades for all of the FF&E you see typically. So you do 2 tenacity damage instead of 1 and originally base 0.5. Number 2 is 205% damage plus 60 damage amount for each decreased tenacity of the target. So if you do a breakthrough, theoretically it's once you do 600% damage, so 805% damage. This is a big huge damage here. I'm not sure how it compares to the other Epiphanies. Number 3, 137 does not have the bonus damage from upgrading. 2 instinct weakness plus 60% damage to homing laser for 1 turn. Does this apply to laser elves? Not too sure. But importantly, it inflicts 2 instinct weakness. So if you're playing similar to like Maylin, where she or Selena, they deal passion weakness. This is like the alternative towards it, or the other element. This is a really big pickup, I think. Number 4 is a create 3 homing laser L. This is really good, I think. You're trying to play it like similar to Dirge, or maybe like Tressa daggers. Number 5 becomes a unique upgrade. End of a turn, you dish out 50% damage to a random enemy, plus 30% amount for each homing laser moved to hand for 1 turn. So, Alright, so if you move, like let's say 10 homing lasers, it becomes 300% on the next turn, I believe. Not sure if this is a good pickup, but at first glance, you want to go 3, maybe 4. Maybe 2 is fine. And then 5 so right. And let's look at the next one, Shiny Core. This creates 2 homing laser L. Has exhaust 2. Grants afterglow. Then if you look at the epiphanies, from 2 to 3, standard. Second one is so it becomes a 4 exhaust card for homing laser L. Alright. Number 3 is unique initiation. Create 2 lasers. On Ravage, create 2 homing laser L. So I've stated before that her main shtick is that she focuses on doing or dishing out enough tenacity damage such that it ravages the enemy. So this could be the key pickup whenever you do epiphanies. And since it's a unique initiation, you could do a different card where you want to copy. So this is a considerable upgrade to consider doing. Number 4 is X plus 1. Homing laser L, apply haste. So this, whenever you use those homing laser Ls, it doesn't consume any action count for the enemy. Interesting. And then number 5, select and create 1 homing laser with their own distinct epiphanies. This is interesting. I'm not sure how it works. Is the created homing laser just for that instance of battle? We'll have to do some further testings in the future. But if I were to pick, it would be 3, 5, 4, and then 2. Interesting. And then Cobalt Light. So this is our multi-hit card. So other than dealing 1 tenacity, so since it 4 times hits, you deal 4 tenacity damage. But it does cost 3. So if we look at through the epiphanies, so whenever this card does ravage to a single enemy, it decreases the cost to 1. So theoretically, if you have 3 enemies and then you dealt breakthrough for all 3 of them, this becomes a 0 cost. So this is an interesting card to say the least. Number 2 is on retain plus 1 hit. As you know, adding more hits to a card is very beneficial. A lot of the common metacom such as Meilin benefit from doing multiple hits. Chizuru as well, she does multiple hits. So this is a really important card to consider when you're picking an epiphany. Number 3 here creates a homing laser L for each target hit. So if we're gonna do bossing, this isn't that good. But if you're planning to use this for simulation, maybe you could consider doing this. Number 4 is it becomes a 1 cost, adds 1 hit for each homing laser in hand. So this is assuming maybe if you have homing laser L, this increases the number of mounts, but this is a really good pickup. So then number 5, weakness attack. This guarantees that it's always a stronger element towards the enemy regardless of their type. And then on Ravage, activate once more. So theoretically it's 8 times hit. So if I were gonna choose a card from any of these, it would be 4 and 2. Interesting. And this is her ultimate skill or ultimate card. Activates 5 homing lasers in draw pile and graveyard. Okay, so just to take note, graveyard includes cards used in this turn as well as discard pile. So I think this is similar to move. If you're aware of the concept of move from Alien, so this means that regardless, any cards that have been used in the previous turns or in this turns, as long as they are not exhausted, it will activate any of the 5 homing lasers. Okay, really good. So at first glance, really interesting kit, beautiful card illustrations, and amazing first glance character. Really good. So if we look through her ego skill, This cost 6 cost ego points for 400% damage dealt to all enemies and moves all homing laser L in exhaust pile to hand. So the main difference between homing laser and homing laser L is that L is the exhaustible ones. So once you use them, alright. Interesting. Yeah. So because she's a hunter, she plays quite similarly to Renoa, for example. We're gonna skip the partners, which we'll be discussing it in a different video. But all in all, it seems that whenever you're gonna play Sereniel, it's either you're gonna create a deck that's full of homing lasers and you spam it, and then have one big cobalt light where you do multiple hits based on the number of homing laser Ls created, or maybe you want to build towards having multiple homing laser Ls and that's your main way to dish out damage. But so far she's quite flexible in that regard, so in terms of being a DPS. So if we're gonna look through her potentials, in my opinion, you should, other than focusing on your crit rate, your big nodes, of course, both of them, it seems to be in that case, as well as crit nodes and crit damage nodes, she seems to benefit quite a lot from doing obviously her unique upgrade node. But if you have the option to, perhaps consider upgrading as well the basic card upgrade right here. As for her memory fragment, I'll put a picture of here. He benefits most, I believe, from doing a 2-2-2 attack, crit damage, and any of the likes, and maybe running the 4-piece instinct set, as she benefits from dealing ravage. And as always, the main subsets that you should focus on is crit rate, crit damage, attack percent, attack. Get any 2 combinations initially, and then slowly but surely upgrade all of the gear such that you have all 4 ideally. As for her manifest ego, I have her luckily at E2, and if we review it, her E1 is quite interesting, plus 50%. So this is additive damage to pale shooting star. This is her, I believe, her ultimate skill. Yes. And change the number of activatable homing laser cards to 5, which is initially, I believe it's 3, or is it 2? It's either one of the 2. So this becomes quite a huge improvement. If I were going to say what you should do is that first, check if you really want the character. Second, they gave us the free to manifest ego. You could consider using that instead of pulling. Her second ego here is quite a... If we're gonna look at the previous characters, her second ego is quite impactful. I'd say it's about the same or even more of the level of Chizuru's. So at the start of turn, create 2 homing laser Ls. So these are the exhaustible ones. A start of battle rather, and then at the start of the turn, if you draw a homing laser, draw an additional card. So you can see that she cycles the deck quite fast. If you look at number 3, Death Halo. Not sure what this is. I see. Death Halo is her ego skill. Additional damage, play haste. Not too important. Number 4 is for each homing laser that is moved to hand on Ravage, Sereniel gains Fire Amp, which is at plus 10 up to 50% additive damage. Not sure how impactful this is. It does deal more damage, but it's not gameplay changing, rather it's more damaging changing. This one's a standard additional levels. And then the 6th one, when an ally, so any ally, inflicts Ravage, Sereniel deals 80% damage for each segment of the Ravage target's max tenacity to that target. So this is interesting. So instead of just being herself dealing the tenacity damage, she can deal more damage through her own allies. So this is quite good. But if I were to suggest, and if you're going to pull, use her free dupe, and then either pull for her or purchase her through the premium tokens or premium currency. It's because she is a limited unit, we won't be seeing her anytime in the future. We can assume it be like a year, maybe 9 months, based on like Epic 7 initial limited banners. So yeah. So interesting characters, beautifully designed.
いつで
Love
も
her.
呼んでください。
And she has an amazing animation. If you get the chance to pull for her, pull for her. And that's it for the video. Thank you guys, and happy holidays.